right? And so our presentation is called What is Your Why? Because the focus on today is really kind of like why you decided to return to high school and like how you can use this time the most wisely in a way that's going to set you up really well for when you graduate. And so we're going to continue to have workshops, and we're going to have a lot more information on like college certifications, financial aid, all that kind of stuff. But we really wanted to kind of start from ground zero for today. And then so we just wanted to have a chance to present a little bit about who we are, so that way you guys have a better idea about who Jeremy and I are and why we do what we do. So I'm going to go ahead and let Jeremy talk a little bit about what he does.
Yes, my name is Jeremy Thomas, and I am the well, I just got promoted actually, Senior Director of Career Education. It's fine. I don't throw it out there that much. I feel my face looks very mean on Zoom, and I just want to show you that I am mean. So if you see me around campus, please don't talk to me because I don't talk to too many students. But no, that's a picture of me and my big head family. My son's actually first birthday is on Friday, so he'll be making 1 year old on Friday, well, turning 1 year old on Friday. Wow. So I'm born and raised in New Orleans. I've been in Austin for about a year, I think. Yeah, for about a year. And finally feel like I found a place I'm willing to call home outside of New Orleans. So definitely enjoy my time at the Excel Center. My job is to make sure that you guys have opportunities to find success in your post-secondary endeavors. So whether that's wanting to go to ACC or wanting to get a certification, or maybe trying to get a certification while you're enrolled, as we've done with some of the students in the night program with the CNA program. So my job from an overall standpoint is to make sure that you have opportunities to reach your goals, and we're preparing you to find success once you graduate from the Excel Center. And my son got a lot more color now, so he's closer to my color. So I'm just looking at the picture. I'm like, wow, dude, you need a tan, bro.
It's a really cute picture. He's a really cute kid.
Yeah, it was pretty dirty when he took him out that pumpkin.
Well, thank you so much, Jeremy. So yeah, my name's Carolyn. I am the college and career readiness coach. And so this is like a brand new role, which I'm really kind of excited about. I was a life coach for 2 years before this. And so I've been at the Excel Center since about 2018. And in general, education is just really meaningful to me. I actually really relate to students at the Excel Center because during high school, it was a really turbulent time for me. So I had a lot going on at home and I had to move a lot. And I actually dropped out of high school as well. And so the traditional model of high school did not work for me. And I kind of had like this snowball effect with my absences where like I wouldn't show up one day and then I wouldn't show up the next day. And then by day 3, I was too scared to show up. And then by day 4, it was just mortifying to go in. And so, you know, I found a school like the Excel Center, and I built so much confidence. I was able to graduate a year early and ended up going to college and was really successful there. And so I kind of know what it's like to have people look at you like, why aren't you doing everything you're supposed to be doing? And kind of passing a little bit of judgment on that. And so education is really, really important to me, just because of what happened when I was in high school, and then kind of how I was able to snap back from that. So my role, and I'm kind of all over all different campuses. I'm really excited to have this advisory time with you guys. And so I'm going to continue to provide workshops for you guys surrounding college and career readiness. But also I'm available to meet with you guys individually and in groups. And so know that I'm definitely available to support you guys as you make your goals.
Thank you.
All right, so before we get started, I'm the kind of person I like to scroll through the videos on Zoom. So I'm next time we come, I need like Alexandra and Anna and Brenda and Natty and Monica and everybody else to have more video screens on so I can make fun of people while I'm on here. But no, I appreciate everybody taking time out today to show up today. I know everybody has a lot going on, so I'll try to make sure that it's impactful and we're giving information that makes sense. The first thing I want you to do is kind of just take a moment to kind of think about why you decided to come back to the Excel Center. So what maybe was going on in your life, or what did you want to achieve, or what did you want to earn, or what do you feel like you were going to benefit from coming back to the Excel Center? And I know people don't like to talk in the chat, talk on Zoom too much. So if you don't want to say anything, you can just put it in the chat. But just take a couple minutes and just kind of say, why am I here? And nobody has to say anything. I'm not asking anybody, but if you want to say something, you can.
Can we go ahead?
So oh yeah, you can go ahead and say something. Go ahead.
Well, my main reason for coming to the Excel Center is because I'm a returning student, and the main reason is my oldest daughter graduated from high school and she's already attending her second year in college. And she motivated me to finish what I didn't finish. And my job is pretty much like Groundhog Day. So I got tired of going, to work every day, doing the exact same thing every day, coming back home and then going back the next day, doing the exact same thing. So I want to further my career and do something that's more meaningful.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. And I know that's one of the things that we hear a lot is that students come back for to finish something that they started that they didn't finish, and also to open up career opportunities. And one thing I challenge you to do is that while you're at the Excel Center is to actively pursue things that will help prepare you for your career. A diploma is one step toward having a career that you want and having doors open for you, but it's not the only step you need. About 60% of the jobs in the Austin area require post-secondary credential, whether that's a certification, so something like a CNA certification or electrician or anything in the trades, or that also can include like a college degree. So we're going to actually talk to you about more of these things as we go throughout the year and maybe a little bit today, but really start thinking about outside of your diploma, what's going to separate you. So last year we had 120 students graduate with a high school diploma. If all 120 students apply for the same job, what's going to separate them? Work experience, credentials, things like that. So when you think about competing for jobs and competing for opportunities, what's going to separate you from the person who pretty much has the same thing you have? And it's going to be your work experience and the credentials that you can get while you're here. So I really push you to really start expanding your mindset past the diploma and start looking toward how can I become a better candidate for a job, okay? We can go ahead and move to the next slide, Carolyn.
Okay.
So typically when I give this presentation, and some people may have heard it already, if you have, just bear with me for a bit. But I like back and forward, which is a little difficult on Zoom, so I just kind of cover most of it. This is the blueprint, and the blueprint is used to pretty much outline how you want to build a house. What happens with a lot of times with, there's a lot of things are related. So when you talk about building a house, it's the same as building your dreams. And what we're trying to do with our program and what we're trying to build out with career development is that you've already shown the initiative and shown the motivation to come to school. Now we have to take all of that and put it into a plan that will help you find success. So just as you build a house and you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, you can't build your plans without a blueprint or without a formula for success. So what we're trying to do now with our career development program and what we'll be doing with advisory is working with students to help formulate this plan so that you always can stay on track with your next step and where you want to go. So your bedroom doesn't end up where your kitchen's supposed to be. Everything is in line and in order. Okay, we can go move on to the next one. So this is the toughest part about building a house or a dream is that you reach this stage where it's difficult to tell, well, adults, what the hell I'm building. So you can look at this picture and we have no idea what it is. Is it a parking garage? Is it a church? You know, and what you'll find is that as you go along building your dream, whether it's to find a better job or to be an entrepreneur or whatever that may be, you're going to reach a point where your dream's going to look just like this. And you're going to look at it and you'll be like, what the hell am I building? And this is the stage where a lot of students get discouraged because you start taking a step, then you get an algebra class or an English class or a science class, and it's very difficult, and you're like, why am I here? And that's the reason why we go back to the blueprint. The blueprint is always here so that when you reach a point where you're either discouraged or you're concerned, you can always refer back to the blueprint and know that you have your next steps ahead of you that you can take. But another thing that'll happen as well is that as you go along your path and you start doing your dream, other people are going to walk by your dream, whether it's family members, friends, and they'll look at it and be like, dude, why are you building that? That's ugly. What are you doing? And they won't understand what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. Everybody won't be supportive. Hopefully everybody will be, but everybody won't be supportive. But once again, at those times of discouragement, we have that blueprint there to always keep us in line and keep us in order and help us to know exactly where we want to go. And I was actually listening to a guy speak one time, and he said something that I found very enlightening. He said that if you have a baby, would you give your baby to someone who's smoking a cigarette? So if somebody's smoking a cigarette and say, hey, can I hold your pretty baby? Are you going to hand your baby over? The answer is typically no. And he was saying you have to treat your dreams the same way. So you don't hand your dreams to just anybody. You don't throw your dreams out there and put them in areas where they can be shut down. You take care of them like they're your child so that they're supported and they can grow into bigger and better things. Okay? We can go to the next one. So this is actually what that was a picture of. The castle at Disney World looks nothing like it did before, right? And unfortunately, a lot of times in life, we see people's who have found success and been successful, and we only see their castle. We don't see them clearing out the land. We don't see them putting up the foundation. We don't see the frame going up. We don't see the ugly castle. We just see the finished product. Carolyn told you her story about how she got to where she is. My story is not the same, but I had my own struggles. And the thing is that you'll never know them because you see me and hear my title and think that I had it easy, and I struggled. I was born and raised in New Orleans in the 90s, which was not a good place to grow up. I went to college because I was an athlete. When I stopped playing sports, I actually considered dropping out. I had a family member of mine that got killed, and that's one of the reasons I decided to stay in college. Like, I go back home to what? So don't ever think your story or your path is wrong, or your story, your path is something that you can't overcome, because everybody had that building phase. You just don't see it. So don't ever get discouraged. One thing that I found very special about Disney World was the process in which it was built. Carolyn, can you go back to the last picture? So if you look as they're building up the castle, do you see any other buildings around there? Do you see any other structures, any other amusement rides? Do you see around there? That was actually done on purpose. So Walt Disney went to Florida, bought a whole bunch of land with a whole bunch of money, and it was all swampland. So he drained the swamp, took the trees out, and just cleared everything out. And the first thing he built was the castle. The reason he built the castle first was because he wanted, no matter where anyone was working on the lot, he wanted them to be able to see the castle so they could always remember why they were doing what they were doing. So in those hot, muggy, humid Florida days that I don't know if anybody knows about, but those are horrible, you can always see the castle, this beautiful structure that reminds you why we're here. And that's the reason why we're here today, is that when things get hard, you have to always be able to see your why. You have to always be able to see the thing that's in front of you, that's giving you the motivation to go through, whether it's your children, whether it's a better job, whether it's personal motivation, whatever your why is, you have to see it. And the biggest way I can help you understand this is when you think about commercials and advertising. Everybody know what Coca-Cola, the brand Coca-Cola is? Everybody know Burger King, McDonald's? Why do they spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year advertising? Who said that, Brenda? I just heard a yay and Brenda's screen popped up. All right, so why do they spend hundreds? Okay, I appreciate that. So why do they spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year advertising? Why do they spend millions of dollars advertising during the Super Bowl? Anybody know? I'll throw that out there, see if anybody responds.
To have more customer?
I'm sorry?
To have more customer and more people.
But everybody knows what Coca-Cola is. So what new customers are they getting by saying, hey, here's Coca-Cola? Everybody knows it, right? So the thing that they found through research is that the more you see something, the more you're prone to want it and go after it. So they're not showing you Coca-Cola because they want you to, you don't know what it is, and they want you ever watch something on TV? It got me a couple of days ago. I was watching TV, they were advertising Whoppers, and next thing I know, I'm eating a Whopper. So what they say is that the things you keep in front of you, the more you see them, the more you want them. So if we can use that to help us in the things that we want to achieve too. So when was the last time you saw your dream in front of you? Whether it was a paragraph that you wrote out that you read every day, or a picture that reminds you of what you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to go. So if they can use that to make you spend your money on things you don't want, then you can also use that same method and that same research to help you get the goals that you want to reach. So try to find ways to keep your why and your meanings in front of you so that you're always reminded of where it is you're trying to go, whether it's a rubber band on your wrist or whatever it is. So you have that constant reminder. So instead of going buy a Big Mac, you might go study for your test. So I think that's all I have today. We'll leave the end of the presentation open for questions. We'll also monitor the chat, and if you guys have any questions, you can I'll read them, and or Carolyn will read them, and we'll kind of get those inserted while we're going. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Jeremy. And yeah, I know it can be a little nerve-wracking to like speak up in front of so many people on a Zoom call, but I wish I could be in person with you guys so much. So just please just message in the chat, and we'll make sure that we get that answer for you. But yeah, I really like that castle analogy. Thank you, Jeremy. Especially this photo, because like you said, sometimes even people that are really successful when you're in a new project or you're doing something for the first time, it's very hard. Okay, cool. So I'm glad that we kind of went in with that because, you know, part of my experience as a life coach, it was constantly this question with my students of like, I really want to finish, right? And so I really kind of want to talk about the elephant in the room, which is like, I know that many of you guys want to finish high school, right? And there's many good reasons why you want to finish. You know, you're taking time away from your family. And for many people, you're taking time away from work, right? So time is money. You being here in class, those are opportunities that you could be out there working. So that's a huge sacrifice right there. Transportation, I know that we're not on campus right now, but in the past, that would be really hard for some students to try to get there every day with unstable transportation. And then really just, you know, school is really not always that fun, guys. Like, you know, you got to write papers, you got to take tests, you have to sit in classes you don't want to be in. It's just the grind, right? It's just the daily thing. And so I know that that is the reality for a lot of people. And I really wanted a chance to kind of name that. And that kind of leads into like, you know, it's always this question of like, when am I going to graduate, right? When I was a life coach, this is something that I talked through with my students almost daily. And students would become very frustrated if they didn't move as fast as they wanted to. And so what I like to kind of remind students is that, you know, we are different than a traditional high school. And in many ways, we're a little similar too. So for example, at a traditional high school, you're going to have 2 semesters per year, and it's going to take you 4 years to graduate. So I just kind of want to wrap our heads around the fact that what you're doing here at the Excel Center, which by the way, I know many of you did not start from scratch, but it takes 4 years to do what you're doing and for the long haul. It's a long time, right? It's a lot of content, a lot of things you have to master in a very short period of time. So at the Excel Center, what's really great is we have 5 terms per year. So instead of 2 semesters, right, we've got those 5 terms. So that does mean that you're actually able to really finish almost twice as fast, right? And with our plan, you know, you can take as many classes as you'd like, right? And so in the sense of, you know, what you put into it is kind of how long you're going to be here for. You still need those 22 credits to graduate. You still need to pass state exams. But at the same time, you know, you're going to be able to finish faster. But just remember in the back of your head that everything you're doing is expedited and that it's okay if things take a little bit longer because that's kind of what it's designed to do. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there because that's something that I know is on people's minds a lot.
Excuse me, I have a question, please.
Sure.
About the state exam. It's that like, I mean, each subject has like a state exam, or how it's work?
That's such a good question. And that's something that I'm probably going to have you talk to your life coach about because it is different for every student. So what's unique about the Excel Center is we actually go back in time to the year that you were going to graduate from high school, and we use those requirements. So because I'm older, I took something called a TOS test, right? And so if I went back to the Excel Center, I would take a TOS test and not a STAR test. So it's a complicated answer. Know that state exams are part of graduation, but if you have specific questions on what you need, definitely talk with your life coach on that. Did that help answer?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Cool. So kind of what we're inviting you guys to do today is kind of switch your mindset a little bit, right? And so one of my favorite quotes, it's very cliche, but you know, the journey is the destination. So it's like the idea of like, well, I'm climbing this mountain because I need to see the view at the very top. But when you get to the top of the mountain, it really wasn't the view that was so memorable. It was your experience climbing the mountain. It was the time that you fell. It was the time that you looked over and saw a beautiful sunset, or that you had a really great conversation with your hiking partner. So a lot of times we don't even realize that we get so much out of the process that whenever we actually reach our goal, we don't realize how much growth has already happened. And so again, with my students wanting always to finish so fast, I invite you guys to have patience and know that what you're doing, learning itself, it just takes time, right? And so kind of what Jeremy and I really kind of want you guys to think about is like, you know, when he was talking earlier about, you know, thinking about you have your high school diploma when you leave here, but what are other skills that you can gain, right? Because you're going into a very competitive job market, and it's just something that it would be unrealistic to not consider that. So what does that look like? Can you get a certification while you're with us? Maybe you can get an internship or job experience related to your goals. Or maybe like your goal is to really kind of gain employability skills. So maybe it's like working on communication, working on socialization. You know, if you kind of think about leaving with not just a high school diploma, but with a bunch of other skills, it might make you feel a little bit more comfortable with how long you're spending here. So it's just kind of something I want you guys to kind of just be thinking about throughout this year. And I know that everyone is on a different graduation plan. I could be talking to a senior right now, but what I'm telling you now is also going to apply to you when you leave. And so it's just that it's that idea of patience and that you're going to get there, but nothing really that great comes instantly. A lot of great things just take time. So. And kind of with that, like I kind of told you guys my story before about how, you know, I was a high school dropout, and like how you really just, I don't know, you feel like this really kind of intense judgment from maybe people in your life or society in general. But I want you guys to remember that you guys really do have everything that you need. When students succeed, it's not because of their teacher or their life coach. It is because they did it. Right? So we're only tapping into what's already within you. And so I'm just going to read this quote. I think it's a really great quote. So everything you need, you already have. You are a complete person right now. You are a whole total person, not an apprentice person on the way to someplace else. Your completeness must be understood by you and experienced as your own personal reality. And that's by Wayne Dyer. And I just really like this because I think a lot of students come to the Excel Center feeling like they don't have enough or they're not enough, and know that you are, and that even whenever people, you're the same person as you will be when you're successful. It's kind of a lot to wrap your head around, but it's just something that I wanted you guys to all hear.
Thank you.
And then so another thing I really like to kind of talk with students about is we think of our brain as like this total separate thing, but your brain is just like a muscle and any other part of your body. So it needs time to get stronger. You know, like people that are really muscular, like that did not happen overnight. That took so much time and practice and dedication. And people kind of think that like, oh, you just, you know, you're smart, like you're a smart person. Like I'm just not a smart person. But just know that your brain changes just like every other muscle in your body. And the more you work it out, you know, the more you're going to surprise yourself. And so I really love to ask students, like, you know, would you go run a marathon without training? Right? No, you probably wouldn't. You know, you'd probably get really tired like right away. And so I just invite you guys to use this time, use the time when you get out of high school too, to train yourself to be who you want to be. And we're not defined by our past mistakes, our past behavior, or our past experiences. I have a video for you guys that I really want to show. I really don't like having to talk the whole time, right? I feel like it can get boring. And so I know it may not be clear on everyone's screen, but we're going to go ahead and give it a try today. And I do have captions at the bottom. So hopefully if the audio is off, you'll be able to catch mostly of what they're saying.
What's going on in the brain when you learn? In order to learn anything, whether it's math, foreign language, guitar, or how to dribble a basketball, you need to create and strengthen pathways in your brain. Think about shooting a free throw. Know that feeling when you've got it down and don't even have to think about it? That's muscle memory. Here's the thing. Muscle memory lives in the brain, not the...
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna...
muscles. Your brain controls everything your muscles do, and it does this by activating specific neural pathways for each and every movement. These are functional pathways, neurons working together to achieve a goal. Say you're learning how to shoot a free throw. If it's your first time doing it, you don't yet have a pathway for that movement in your brain. You need to create it. Let's use an analogy to look at what's happening in the brain during this time. When you're first learning, your brain is like a forest full of trees and dense foliage, with no clear pathway between point A and point B. As you learn the mechanics of shooting a free throw, you create a trail through the forest. Now you can shoot the free throw because you've created that pathway in your brain, but you probably don't make many shots because it's so new. The pathway isn't very clear yet. In order to improve your free throw, you need to refine and strengthen the free throw pathway in your brain. The way you do that is through practice. Practice gradually widens the trail through the trees, turning it into a dirt road between A and B. You're starting to get pretty good now. You're making more free throws than not. You don't have to think about the mechanics as much. That's because the pathway gets stronger after each practice rep, and you've done a lot of reps. With even more practice, the dirt road turns into a paved road connecting A and B, allowing information to be transmitted at a faster rate. Now you're a 70% free throw shooter, and when you step up to the line, you don't even have to think about it. Eventually, with enough practice, what started as a trail has become a full-blown highway. Now you're a master, draining almost every free throw, and the movement is completely second nature. Scientists call this plasticity, and it's your brain's innate ability to create and strengthen connections between neurons. These connections are the path through the forest. Halo Sport optimizes.
So I just kind of wanted to open this up a little bit. I don't know if the video quality was good enough for you to be able to hear everything, but if you did get to hear it, just let me know if there's anything that maybe stood out to you.
If nobody else wants to go, I can get it started. The thing that stood out to me was when I first saw it was actually, it taught me to be kind to myself when I'm learning something new. Because I know I'm struggling, but I don't know the process of the things that are going on inside my head. So when I'm struggling, I don't really know that, hey, the pathway is getting built. I just see I can't learn it, so I just don't want to do it anymore. And what it kind of showed me was that the more I continue to struggle, the easier to get. So just because it's hard on Monday doesn't mean I shouldn't try again on Tuesday. And I know some of our students who've been here for a while can probably tell the students who are just starting or early in the process that school is going to be hard once you get back started. It's going to be difficult to get back in the process of learning. Everything you did before, the grass and the trees grew on top of it. So you got to go back and cut down the trees again and open that up again. So you're not going to immediately pick off where you left off. So even if you were a great high school student and used to get good grades, it's going to be a little bit of a process sometimes to get those muscle and that brain muscle back in order. So the students have been here for a while, I'm sure I can tell you. The newer students, you're probably going to start going through it, especially with the way things are set up now with virtual learning. But be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself, and know that Monday doesn't mean you won't get it on Tuesday. Just keep going and keep working at it.
Yeah, I really liked the kind of the video part with the trees too, because it kind of helps you understand that like the more you do something, the better you become at it. But in order to kind of start doing it, failure is kind of a part of that. And that's why always people say like there is no such thing as failure, because you really do grow from it. I'm gonna go ahead and keep going, but know that you can always put stuff in the chat. I haven't been able to check it, but I know Jeremy is. But just, yeah, if you guys want to add anything, please do.
I am all over this chat, I'm telling you.
Okay, so yeah, I should have told you guys earlier that I'm a social worker. So a lot of what I do is very much like about emotions and our needs and all that kind of stuff. And so I have kind of a counseling background. So this is called Maslow's Hierarchy. The whole idea of me showing you this is that there's certain things that have to happen before other things happen. So if we look here kind of at the bottom of the pyramid, you know, all the other parts of the pyramid, you know, are on this one, right? So this is kind of like our foundation, almost like a house. And so our psychological needs, right? So part of our basic needs kind of have to be there first before we feel safe, like our feelings of security or safety, right? If we don't have food or water, or if we're not able to sleep, it'd be really hard for us to feel safe in the world, right? And same idea with, you know, having friends and having relationships. If I don't feel safe, it's going to be really hard for me to have a relationship. When you get to the belongingness section right here, you know, where you have like your relationships and your friends, they consider that to be psychological needs, right? Things that your brain needs to be happy. A lot of us, you know, feel a lot better when we're around a family member or a friend. And that's just that feeling of belongingness. But this esteem need here, right? The idea of feeling like you've accomplished something. A lot of times, all these kinds of other things kind of need to be there. I also view belongingness and love needs kind of as like social support. So people in your life that support you. And the reason I bring this up is because I have, you know, I've worked with students where if they don't have their physiological needs, right? You know, food, water, shelter, right? Those things have to be put in place before you can start working up this pyramid. And it's because you don't want to put too much on your plate. You don't want to set yourself up for a situation where you're not going to be successful, and a situation where that is no fault of your own other than your current situation. And so that kind of leads me into just kind of thinking about removing barriers kind of before they start, right? And so like being a professional, or like learning how to navigate the world in a professional way, kind of means being able to leave what you have going on at home and keep going. It's a very hard thing to do. And honestly, I think all of us still work towards that every day. But what I want you guys to get in the habit of doing is thinking about unexpected events before they even happen, right? So kind of like how to plan ahead. And so what that looks like is like, if you know that your car has been making like a really weird noise every time you hit the highway, Maybe don't wait till the car breaks down, right? Get a check to see what happens. That way, the more you drive it, you're not creating more repairs. It's that same idea of just kind of like thinking ahead of time. And we bring this up not only because it's important as a high school student, but this is probably the most important part about moving into your next step, whether that's going to be going into a trade program or certification, getting a better job, or going to college. All of these things are going to be really, really important for you and for your success. So I really kind of want you guys to think too about like having realistic expectations of yourself and of the programs that you're going into. And so sometimes what we'll find is like students will get super excited and they'll put way too much on their plate because they're inspired and they want to reach their goals. And we are 100% wanting that for you. But you have to know what your own limits are. And so don't go too full speed ahead to where you burn out, right? And so these are all just things to kind of keep in mind, especially as you're exploring careers and you're exploring programs. You know, have realistic expectations. Like, am I going to really be able to get through that program right now? What things do I need to have in place before I actually start this program?
And I'll give you guys an example. We have some students that come in when we're actually in person that would say, hey, I want to take classes from 8 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night because they want to try to hurry up and get out as soon as possible. And it's great. It's happy that they're motivated, but trying to do that for a full 8 weeks or a full 16 weeks is almost impossible. And not many people can get through that with other things going on in life. So it's kind of just saying, you know, we know everybody wants to get out as soon as possible. We know everybody wants to kind of get to the next step, but don't put yourself in a position where you actually take a step back because you took too much on at one time.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too that a lot of that's just having self-awareness. And I mean, that comes with time too. And so part of that is like, even if you get yourself in a situation, part of that is like evaluating and saying like, wait, I'm 2 weeks into this and I'm feeling like really stressed out right now. You know, that's a really good time for you to kind of take a step back and think about what needs to change. And so remember that like a lot of success is really stemming from your self-awareness, not so much like your intellect or resources. It's really knowing how you can carry yourself. But like, I don't want you to feel that you're in this all by yourself either. You're really not. And I really want you guys to remember to take advantage of the resources that are available to you here at the Excel Center. So you guys have wonderful life coaches who are really there for you, the ins and outs of every day. You also have an academic advisor now, which is kind of like a new system. Who's really going to just like intentionally do grad plans with you, help schedule your classes, and they're just going to be a really great resource for you as well. I'm also here for you as a college and career readiness coach. I know that sometimes these are very personal things to be talking about, like my career, my job, like my livelihood. And so, you know, if you're someone that prefers to talk, you know, more individually, know I'm always available for that. And you guys, we also just have some of the best teachers. Like the Excel Center really does have just really amazing teachers that provide individualized instruction. They go above and beyond to help you guys. And that really won't be the case everywhere you go. We also have a food pantry at the Norwood, you know, at downstairs. And we also can always connect you to community resources. And so if there's something that maybe we won't be able to help you with, we can at least find someone in the Austin area that can. I meant to put on here, and I know that Lindsay has come to talk with you guys, but you know, you do also have mental health counseling available to you for free. And that's something that is a huge resource. And just another plug that, you know, Goodwill has so many programs. We have workforce advancement programs, case management. If you're in need of a job, there's just a lot of resources at Goodwill we can connect you to as well. So you really got a team of people behind you.
And if you notice, I'm not on that list. I'm not really here for you, I promise.
He's there in spirit.
Now, on a serious note, I have an open door policy. So if you ever see me on campus or see me anywhere, you can always stop, even in Walmart, you can stop me and talk to me. Ask any questions you have, email. My phone's always open, so I am here as a resource, and you'll find that both Carolyn and I we're always available.
Yeah, 100%. Seriously. You know, and then kind of my last kind of idea with this too is like, I think it's really empowering to think about your goals because we can control that, right? So I like this diagram because I like how it has adversity out here. So the whole idea of this is like, there's things that I can control, and then there's things outside of my control. And so I can control like my attitude or my effort and my behavior, but I really cannot control what other people do, what other people say. And I can't control adversity, right? Or adversity can mean like barriers or obstacles or hardships, right? Sometimes like we do not get to choose what hand we're dealt, right? And that sucks. And I know that it sucks. But at the same time, one way to kind of reframe that is like thinking about what you can control. And so your education, your goals, and what you choose to do when you leave the Excel Center, those are all things that you can control. And so I really want to empower you guys that we don't have to live in the past, and that to really be forward thinking, and know that we're here to support you in that in every way. But yeah, you guys really do have control over that, which I think is something to really keep in mind, because it does get to be a little overwhelming when we think about every barrier that exists. And truthfully, everyone has barriers. It's just making them more manageable is what we kind of have to learn how to do. And so as we begin talking about careers and different programs that you can go into when you leave the Excel Center, I just kind of want to leave some things for you guys to be thinking about until we come back. I think it's either in a week or 2 weeks. So kind of like what career options are available to you, right? So this is kind of something that I really want to hone in on. So I have an example here about nursing. So like every student wants to be a nurse, you know, like everyone I talk to, I want to be a nurse. And I think a lot of them probably are interested in healthcare, but they don't really realize that other than a nurse, there's so many different kinds of careers in healthcare. Like radiology, there's like all different kinds of things that you can do other than nursing, right? So we kind of want to expand your perspective on what's available to you. We want to look at trends in employment in Austin, right? Are there jobs in the area that you want to go into? I am not someone who is going to ever sugarcoat anything. And so we want to be really realistic. If I'm going to go and study this, am I going to get a job? And so that's definitely something that we're going to be talking about. And then the big thing here, again, with that self-awareness piece, right? And thinking about what resources we have, what kind of time commitment do I feel comfortable making, right? Am I able to do something for a few months? Am I able to do something for a few years? Do I need to make money right now? Those are things that you really want to be considering as we start looking at your goals after graduation. I want to encourage you guys too to take advantage of the classes that are going to prepare you for a career. And so if you're interested in like going to ACC, for example, I recommend you would take like TSI math. Or if you wanted to go into healthcare, medical terminology, right, is a class that you can take. I know that classes vary and we don't always offer certain classes at certain times, but again, just that mindset switch of like, the more that you use these free resources now, the more successful you'll be later. And then we'll also talk more about college and certifications as well. And then, so yeah, just know that we're here to help you explore careers. We can also kind of help with jobs too in different ways. And so please reach out to your life coach, reach out to us if that's something that you're needing. We also want to find ways to do resume and interview preparation with you guys. And we really want to connect you guys to community programs. And so hopefully we can bring in speakers and do kind of fun stuff around there, because Austin is like, we're super lucky because we have some really, really great programs that are really, really wonderful opportunities for students. And then again, that individualized support. And so please don't ever feel like you can't contact one of us to talk more about something that we mentioned in a workshop or a question that you might have. And like what Jeremy said, I loved with, like, you know, about that analogy of like, don't just give your goals to anyone, right? But give them to someone in the sense of like use us to bounce ideas off of. You don't have to make all these decisions by yourself, and it's a lot to even think about. And so just know that we're totally here for you, 100%. Some of the future workshops that we'll be doing, we're going to talk a lot about certifications. I'll have a presentation about what the college process looks like. I'll definitely have a financial aid workshop for you guys. And then later in the year, yeah, we're definitely hoping to do some stuff around resumes, applications, goal setting, and grit. So for now, I'm just going to open it up. If anyone has any questions,